Welcome to the Cambridge Tech Podcast, talking all things technology from the heart of the UK's tech capital. Here are your hosts, Faye Holland and James Parton.
I'm Faye.
And I'm James. So Faye,
Yes.
the long-awaited news is here. Let me hand the mic to you and you can tell us all about your big news.
So last week it was announced that I am the Cambridge and Manchester Partnership Director. So we've talked about this on the podcast in the past with Catherine Chapman, and we've talked about it at the Innovation Cambridge Summit. So basically it's a project that's funded by Research England and supported by basically the peers in each camp. So the University in Cambridge and University of Manchester. Then you've got Innovate Cambridge and Unit M. You've got the combined authorities. You've got the city councils. So it's a really collaborative project. And they've been looking for someone who can lead that partnership. And that is now me.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll have to get Carl to insert trumpets and clapping and things like that.
I would expect no less. Not that I'm going to go back and listen to this to find out whether they were. So please do let me know if that happens.
It's still very early days, but what do you think the role's going to look like? What's a typical day for Faye going to look like?
Oh, crikey. I don't have all of the answers yet, but I'm definitely going to spend a lot of time in both locations because that's really important. One would suggest that I know Cambridge quite well, but I've got a lot to learn in Manchester. I'm going to be spending time, not every week, but on a very regular basis up in Manchester as well, meeting lots of people. But I think the first thing is really leveraging, building out the ecosystems, working out where they complement each other. So we'll be doing that. We've got focus sectors we're going to be working on. So looking at a load of initiatives. So if anyone has got initiatives, and do go and check out the social feeds and everything to find out more information, then come and talk to me, because it's about activating the ecosystems so that together we can do more things. So where are things complementary on a technology and innovation level? Then we're going to be looking at things like startup and scale-up funding, where we can get some additional incremental funding in. Eventually, we'll be looking at FDI as well. So it's really broad. So I think now it's just a case of getting the plan in place, start executing against the bid. The team who've been in place have done a really good job and they've done so many things. So part of it is a big tick for me because it's storytelling. It's about what has already been done, share that story and start building the expertise around it. So it's going to be a very interesting, exciting few months as I get my feet under the table.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, congratulations. And as you mentioned, over the last couple of years, we've had a number of conversations around Manchester and spoken to Catherine and Lou and various other people, Northern Gritstone. So yeah, it's exciting. Can't wait to see what this entails.
Yeah, very good, very good. So that was pretty much most of my week. Last week was taken up in the new role, as you would expect. But I did manage to do a few other things. I was out and about at an event on Tuesday last week. I also took part in a British Chamber of Commerce chairs quarterly meeting where we talked about lots of business things. There's a lot of changes coming in employment law, which was a bit of an eye-opener for me. And the Chamber has also launched a national diplomatic advisory hub, which is really timely considering what's going on geopolitically at the moment. And one of the things actually of interest to our audience is they are organising a trade mission to Singapore for life science businesses. So it would be great to get some representation from Cambridge on that mission. So if anyone wants any more information, head over to the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce and they'll be happy to help you. That's my update, I think, this week for the audience. So what about you? How was your week last week?
Nothing to compare to that. So this is going to be pretty brief. But yeah, it was a pretty head down kind of week, just grinding through some stuff. I'm working on a really exciting proposition with a very awesome group of collaborators, all of which you will know. So we're going to hopefully bring that to light next month. My turn to do a little bit of teasing. But that's looking really strong and positive. And I went into London, actually. I went in to see Tech Nation and catch up with their plans and looking for synergies. And I just realised how much I miss going into London. I just haven't really been doing it much recently. I don't know about you. Are you a big YouTuber? Do you watch a lot of YouTube content? I go down these really dark rabbit holes of different things that I didn't know I liked.
Where are we going with this conversation?
We're going to London, so bear with me. But so I've been watching loads of videos of people doing walking tours around London and talking about the history and the architecture. So when I went to London for these meetings, I just decided I was going to walk everywhere, and I was just like looking up the whole time, and I loved it. It was great. So I need to do more trips to London.
Nice. Broaden horizons in different ways. I think it is always a good thing, isn't it? But yeah, thank you for clarifying where you were going with that, because I was starting to go, what is happening here? We're watching strange things on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, no.
You've made it a very interesting update there, James. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, let's get on with the news then, shall we, before the main episode. So I had a really good update email from Alexandra French last week from Zampler. And in the message, she shared that Just Eat Takeaway is launching Zampler's plastic-free Moro coating across Europe now in all of their markets. So they had a successful launch already in Germany and Austria. And now this is a 10-market expansion, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I think starts to mark a real change now in the demand for genuine plastic-free solutions in the food service industry, which, crikey, we do really need. So I think absolutely phenomenal news as they continue to expand and their mission to eliminate polluting plastics with plants.
Our next piece of news is Absilion, the life sciences tech company anchored in Cambridge, and are focusing on simplifying biomolecule quantification. They've established a US subsidiary, the Engine, which is a tough tech incubator and accelerator at MIT. Dr. Rushi Wang, who we spoke to on the podcast back in 2024, episode 93, said our vision is to make high-quality quantification more accessible through closer international collaboration. Establishing a US subsidiary marks an important milestone in Absilion's growth, strengthening our ability to operate across key life science markets globally while continuing to build on our strong scientific foundation.
Next up, New Quantum is following through on their promise of a hiring spree. If you remember from a few weeks ago with Ed Wood, they have recruited Dr. Maria Maracu as VP of Business Development. And this is quite an interesting hire, as Maria was previously in Cambridge-based Riverlane, which I think is another demonstration of how competitive the quantum market is and is becoming.
Yeah, and staying on quantum, Cambridge continues to become a global powerhouse for quantum computing after IonQ in Maryland and the University of Cambridge revealed the most powerful quantum computer in the UK will be based here as part of a $90 million transatlantic collaboration. IonQ is putting its name to the new Innovation Centre to be based at the Ray Dolby Centre, home of the Cavendish Laboratory, Department of Physics at the University of Cambridge. It is envisaged that the computer will accelerate research and discovery in quantum science, engineering, and a range of other applications. The collaboration with IonQ is the university's largest ever corporate research partnership.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Great investment into Cambridge again. And now let's move on to something not quantum related. We caught up with Jean Michel Van and had a really good chat about his path to Cambridge and what he is creating. Jean Michel, welcome to Cambridge Tech Podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Faye, for having me here.
Great to have you with us. As always, we like to find out about our guests. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your personal background?
On the personal side, I was born and raised in Paris. So I spent my entire childhood over there. My parents fled the Cambodian genocide in the 80s. Cambodia was a French colony. And so I was lucky to find my way into France. I can't believe what my life would be if I'd stayed there, obviously. So super blessed. I spent half of my life in France, and then I moved to the UK in Cambridge to finish my uni years. After that, I spent 15 years, 20 years now between the US and the UK. I got two sisters. I'm the black duck, as I like to call. My parents always wanted me to have that classic career of my sister's a pharmacist and have the classic life, I would say. But I never wanted to do that, apparently. And so that's why I decided to just, okay, I think I'm just going to live and cross the channel and see what's out there. And here I am. So it was in Cambridge, obviously. And one of the reasons that we got back here also is this is where I met my wife. And it's got a special place in our heart.
Thank you for sharing that. And it's interesting you say you didn't go the traditional or expected route. We love tech on the podcast, so we think you chose a great route anyway. But is it not true that you spent your formative years building things and tinkering and doing Lego and those kinds of things?
Yeah. So one of the things that I think my parents found weird, because obviously they wanted me to be either a doctor, pharmacist, or like a financier. That's what they wanted for me. And what I was doing is I was just spending a lot of time tinkering things. And at the time, it didn't look nice because I was tearing apart my sister's toys sometimes. And obviously, mostly my toys, but sometimes I was doing theirs. It wasn't fun for them now. I apologize if you're listening. And yeah, that's what I was doing, and putting them back together. That's what I enjoy doing. And also, when I think about it, the puzzle, I was a puzzle freak a bit, where I spent a lot of time doing puzzles. And obviously, from a parental perspective, that could be seen as, why don't you just do something more productive? Play an instrument, play some sports and things like that. So you can imagine what was going on in my parents' head. Oh, now I'm not thinking this anymore. Now it's totally different.
So you did your business and tech MBA in Cambridge, and then you actually did go down the path of your parents a little bit, because your first job was in pharma. Is that right? Yeah. So tell us about that early career and those experiences that you gained.
Yeah. It wasn't pharma, but more for the industry, right? It was my first foray into the professional world. And it was mostly on the finance side of pharma. So yeah, I guess you can say there's pharma inside, but it was more like chemist or pharmacist that they wanted me to become. But my first experience was on the pharma side, on the, let's say, financial side or corporate strategy was. And that's what led me to the tech side, because one of the organizations, one of my former employers, wanted somebody to go to the US and acquire a startup over there. And I had this pharmaceutical experience from a corporate strategy side. Like, it was a blessing, really, that I was on the pharma side, and I didn't really enjoy it, to be honest. On the corporate strategy side, finance, I didn't enjoy that much. But this company needed somebody there, and it was to take advantage of the Obamacare law at the time that Obama was passing. And essentially, it was about giving incentives to healthcare practices to change their electronic medical record. That is the type of company I was charged in doing the competitive landscape, acquisition strategy, and all that. And it was for a tech company. Yeah, very fortunate that I had this turn in my career, because that led to the rest of the tech path that I had.
Ticks boxes, doesn't it? You're East Coast of the US, you're in a startup looking at tech, so you can see a little pattern emerging there. But when we spoke before the podcast, you talked about the move into product management and getting that experience of tech, commercial, the go-to-market, those types of things. Tell us a little bit more about that role and why that was important to you.
Yeah, so that is a very interesting one. And I had, obviously, James was a product manager as well, so we connected a lot on that. One of the things that, in hindsight, was the value that the product management role brought to my skill set, essentially, on my profile, on who I am today. Just a bit of history maybe here. Product management is a relatively new role. In early 2000, I think it was mostly Google who came up with it. Nobody really knows what a product manager does. And I was a corporate strategy, right? And then I was in pricing analyst. And then I had this opportunity where one of the VPs over there approached me and said, hey, you did the analysis for us acquiring this company. We don't need you anymore. And in the US, when they don't need you, they just really don't need you. It's pretty fast. we have an opportunity in product management. And I was like, what is it? I didn't know we sold product. I thought it was software. And they're like, oh yeah, no, product is software, but we call it this way for some reason. I don't know why. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And so that was my foray here. After 2 years acquiring the company, doing my acquisitions, now it was done. They wanted me to go back to corporate in Europe. So I was like, oh no, I want to stay here. And that opportunity came. And I was like, okay, I don't know what product management is, but I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot from you. So let's do it. And I never turned back. It was amazing. And product management is essentially, you're at the middle of a lot of things. Marketing, working closely with developers, obviously the tech team, and then sales, also finance to get budget. It is so a well-rounded job and positions that it made me super visible in organizations, and I managed to just take advantage of that and then just climb the ladder from there and learn so much on what product management is supposed to do in the tech world. It's such a rewarding experience because you just learn about everything. And people said it's like the mini CEO, even though I challenged that. It's not really CEO because a CEO would just say, you need to do it, and you just do it. A product manager will have to influence and convince because there's no direct management at the PM level. It's really just driving a large portion of the entire organization in marketing, development, data operations, ops, finance, driving it in sales, supporting everybody, driving in one direction, which is what we call in product management our North Star. So we're driving the organization to that North Star, and it's a long-term thinking usually game. So yeah, that's what I would say in a nutshell.
That's really interesting. And like you say, mini CEO, they're all really transferable skills in what you then chose to do. So you were there for 15, 16 years, something like that. You then came back to Cambridge. You founded a company called Ryse Flow. So tell us how that came about. Did that early startup experience make you want to develop your own company, or was it a gap in the market? How did it come about?
There's this famous thing in the product management space where when you build product, the founder path is not very far because that's what we do usually. And obviously it's not entirely true, but the idea is if you're a product manager, you build things that you're not really far. And I always wanted to do that. Once I acquired and I felt confident in my skills of driving teams and building, putting myself out there, working with sales and all that, I thought someday I'll do my own thing. And I think it was in 2000, I want to say 15. It was a long time ago. Never had the courage, to be honest, for a long time. I was always tinkering things on the side on the weekend, in the evening. So I did that for 10 years, to be honest. To the point where my wife was like, hey, can you just turn off that thing here? And okay, or yeah, I'll do it later. So I always did things. I had a few side hustle also. E-commerce, website, just to dip my toes into the entrepreneurship world, the newsletter, trying to get sponsorships. And so there's a lot of things that I did before making that real jump here. So for a few years, I was thinking about this. And I said to my wife that one day I'm going to make that jump. But I think I have this fallacy where we believe that things will be perfect. And I'm going to find this idea that I'm going to say, that's it. I'm going to change the world and I'm going to make it big and just do all of that. But as I matured in my reflection and thinking, I was like, this is just an excuse. And I think it was, to be honest. I had a very comfortable career. In my last role, I was the head of AI products, so all the things that comes with it. And my wife and I, we're comfortable. And it's the life that you don't want to live, right? And one day I woke up on Sunday and I said to my wife, we need to talk. I was like, I know I've been grumpy for a few months now, but it's because I think I'm not making that leap. And if I wake up at 65 and I look back, I'll be like, oh my God, I wasted all my second half of my life really fearing mostly what people would think, maybe self-confidence as well. So I couldn't just go out without giving it a go. We'll have food on the table. Everything is there. Like we won't have any issue. It's really just me being scared, really, of what people would think, what my family would think, again, what my friends would think. And rightly they did. Like when I said I'm going to make that jump across the ocean on the other side, on the US side, my friends were like, yeah, just go for it. On the European side and UK to some extent, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, just be careful out there. Just So same rhetoric that we hear across the pond, but that's how really it came about. And at the time, I was building AI products, right? I was the head of AI products. And I was like, what are the things that I can leverage that I learned over the years that I know I can sustain for a long period of time? Because I know I'm going to eat broken glass for a long period of time and looking into the abyss. So I had this thing, you know what? Let's build that AI sales automation tool and just see what's out there. And then I pivot. I do the classic product management game, customer development, MVP, pivoting left, pivoting right for a long period of time until we hit product market fit. And I trust my gut that it will work. I made it happen successfully in other organizations I work with, where we scale from 0 users and 0% market share to 80% market share after 10 years. So I don't know why I won't be able to do it. So let's do that and make that jump now.
Yeah, and I think you've got that experience, you know how it works. So going into something, it's not like you don't know what to expect. You know that you're going to have to change things, pivot, adapt. That's just the way it is. So tell us, what's the premise of Ryse Flow? What is it that you're going to try to achieve?
Yeah. So one side of my career was on building tools for sales reps in the pharmaceutical industry. When I made that jump on the other side, on the tech side, it was to serve the pharmaceutical industry. That's why they wanted me, because I know that world. And I'm familiar with the sales, let's call it sales to make it simple, sales environment, sales operations, because we were building software and analytics tool for them. So I was like, I know that world. I don't know anything about supply chain. I don't know anything about, other industries. So I was like, you know what, let's try to focus on sales. What can I do? And the premise for Ryse Flow was, when we look at what's going on today with AI, I believe that it's not just a tool that we can slap on top of what's existing today, right? I've evolved in SMB enterprise space my entire career. And one thing that I know is this technology, obviously I'm knee deep into the AI space, right? So the way I see it is AI is going to disrupt most of the legacy players in the market. In the same way as cloud disrupted the client-server implementations at the time in early 2000, if people are old enough to remember that. But essentially, everything was cloud server, where you were setting up your software on the CD, and doing upgrades, you couldn't touch your software for 2 days. Until the upgrade happened, it would still break. And there you go, you have the new version. Those client-server organizations in early 2000, they're gone. They folded, they got acquired. All the top software organizations today were born out of the cloud software as a core premise in their foundations, like Amazon, all of them, right? And I'm talking about B2B softwares here, right? No consumer side, just B2B. And so my hypothesis is the same thing will happen here. And I can see already AI native companies, that's what we call them, right? The jargon is AI native organizations eating up or eating lunches from those now cloud-based software companies. I see that with my previous organizations being disrupted. I see that with many friends' organizations as well, where we discuss it. There's a common pattern here where you have to rebuild your softwares from the ground up. You cannot just say, yeah, I'm adding summarizations on top of a feature. That's not going to cut it. Because those AI native startups, because they are startups today, those AI native startups today, they move at a speed that is just impossible for those large organizations to move. They have customers to maintain, infrastructure to maintain, they have reputation to maintain. When you're a startup, there's none of that. You just go after the world. And so I can see that happening again, because I was in that position in 2010 when I was lucky to moved to another organization that was a rocket ship, it was eating all the client server legacy companies left and right. The software was selling like hotcakes. And the software was not better. It was just cloud-based. And now with AI, I believe that the software can be better, but it's AI native first. So you will move at speed. On top of that, you will unlock new use cases that you couldn't do before with traditional cloud-based workflow-driven software, which is essentially what SaaS was at the time. It's really just workflow. But now the AI will just execute the workflow on top of building the workflow. But that cannot be done simply by just adding a feature on top of a existing software, if that makes sense.
So are you looking to integrate into existing software, or are you looking to disrupt the market by creating your own products and IP?
The long-term plan is the SaaS game. I want to play that game because that's the game that I'm used to. I'm very familiar, I'm comfortable. I know the playbook. I will have some easier recognition pattern that's going to help me, I believe. The short term, we are playing the customer development game. I'm not in for a year. I'm really in for to make it happen, whether it takes 5 or 10 years, right? I have to play the long game to make the right decisions today, essentially. So on the short term, what we're doing is leveraging 60% existing tool, 70% existing tooling to deliver our solutions to the market. So the sales automation solutions, right? We're doing that on top of existing infrastructure, but also changing tooling for our customers. Our job is not to tell them, just add AI and it's going to solve your problem. Our job is to tell them, you need to change very soon, because those organizations who are transforming now are the new competitors that you never heard of, starting with AI. Those are the ones who are going to eat your lunch 5 years from now. You don't see that coming. It will happen. So our job is to tell them, look, it's not just about the tool. It's also about the process and the people. So reskilling, enabling your people, your staff. The process needs to change. AI can do things 10 times faster. And that thing that you have in the middle that you used to do because of your existing software, I'm sorry to say that, but you have to go through the short-term pain of ripping this off, putting AI on top now, really training your team, do the change management so that you will run at speed 1 year from now. That's our talk, right? So in a nutshell, we are using existing tool. The IP for now is, I want to say, 30% of our development work. What we do with the 30% is we've observed some patterns in our delivery, and we are productizing this essentially so that we can deliver faster at a better cost for us and at speed and greater value for our customers. So essentially that's what we are doing with the 70-30, but I would like to flip this probably in a year time. I would love to do that.
Yeah, so like a lot of early stage companies, you really are in that discovery phase where you're just trying to get experiences and then determine what's replicable.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. And in that product management jargon, we call it customer development. And it's just about understanding what does the market want. That's it. Yeah. We pivot left and right. Okay, now there's a niche here. Shall we go after this one? Is the customer in pain so bad they're ready to pay for it? Yeah, they have this problem, but not ready to pay for it. All right, let's move to the next one. What about this one? That's what we've been doing with my co-founder and I, and we're just focusing on customer development. We deliver value already, which is amazing. So we are profitable, we're making money, but I understand that game where at some point we have to invest a lot on the IP, on the product development side, in order to have that J-curve or this, let's say, high growth environment at some point, that it'll be just impossible to stop us because we have this extreme product market fit, as we like to call in product management. Once you achieve that extreme product market fit, it's going to be disruptive because we have to change a lot of things. But at least we have a product that is going to be hard to replicate, but also that is meeting that specific need that the market is looking for and is asking for. And it's going to make us just so unstoppable at this point. And I've seen that in my previous organizations when we hit that curve of the product market fit.
You said something that piqued my interest there, which is, are they ready to pay for it? Are they willing to pay for it? That's quite unusual sometimes because lots of startups, early stage companies will go for the pilots and they will do the free of charge. So are you saying that the contracts that you are signing are all commercially viable contracts?
Yes. There's one thing that I learned in my experience on the pilot side. And by the way, I don't want to say that I don't understand why startups are doing free pilots. I'm not saying that it is not a good thing to do. But one thing I understand in my previous organization where we did paid pilots only is that when you do paid pilots, the customers have skin in the game. And I'm not saying that it works out all the time, because even if they pay, sometimes they're like, oh, okay, I don't have time to provide feedback. I don't have time to do it. It does happen. But the rules of the game, if you want this to be successful, is I need commitments from you. Like, it's not simply, yeah, we'll do all the work. Because ultimately a pilot, especially at the early stage, it's a two ways. We're looking for some organizations who believe in that vision that there's a better world out there. And therefore, we're ready to go through the pain, the short-term pain, in order to achieve that. Not all organizations, even in the same industry, are ready for that. And it's okay. Not everybody should be at the same stage, have the same risk aversion, right? But also have the right leadership in place to understand that there's a better world out there. And that's okay. But all our pilots and that we've delivered, they all paid money down. All of them. And I didn't want to take any pilot or do any work if we didn't want to do anything. What I did though is I did build a quick demo environment. I can show potentially what good looks like. Yeah, I did that for free. Yeah. Quick demo, quick and dirty, Wizard of Oz, you name it. I did a lot of types of, let's say, post-signature, pre-contract engagements. But when it's time to a real pilot where we said that we had 6 months with you, now it's time to pay because you saw the value that we can deliver already. Now it's time to really commit. Do I have you on board or not? And sometimes it was no. That's okay. It is okay too.
Yeah, you're still learning from all of those experiences. And you just mentioned then that it's yourself and a co-founder. So is that the plan to keep it quite a tight organization to start with?
Oh, especially in the age of AI, I would say yes, in a nutshell. To be fair, my co-founder is a friend of mine and he's there to give me a hand, but I'm really doing the whole thing here. We have the 2 engineers that we pay, but it's really self-funding. So I'm using my savings essentially to fund the growth of my organizations right now because I can, but also because I don't want to bring anybody just yet. For 2 reasons. I've seen what is a venture-backed organizations and I was part of them and I love them as a employee. When I was talking to the board, sometimes it wasn't fun to be dictated sometimes what to do. So I can afford it. And I'm not in a rush to make money, so I can make the decisions for the long term, which helps me, I think, in our organizations, make the right call, I believe. Right? Only time we tell, maybe 2 years from now, we can talk again and I tell you where we're at. But I don't want to be dictated right now. And I don't want to be hamstrung as well on specifically tactical decisions. And I just want to learn on my own, essentially. Learn on my own, but obviously having advisors, talking to investors. I'm still doing that just to keep things warm. I had people asking me if I can put money in. I was like, no, not now. Even family, I said no. Even our family, I said no. But it will come. I know it will come, but it won't be at the scale that we could find in 2010, 2015. Right now, I can say I have AI employees already working for us as we speak right now. They're doing things that an autopilot. And so it won't be at the scale that we used to know for the good or the bad. I don't know yet.
I think that's really interesting. Probably half of the people we've spoken to in this first quarter of 2026 are not going for VC funding right now. And they all seem to be actually self-funding. So you've come back to Cambridge and you're now part of the Cambridge ecosystem. This obviously is the Cambridge Tech Podcast. We're kind of obligated to ask you, how has Cambridge been for you so far? Are you finding the support you need from the ecosystem?
Yeah. And first of all, as you know now, Cambridge has a special place in my heart in terms of the ecosystem, I was just amazed by the Cambridge ecosystem, as you call it. There's so much going on. It's just unbelievable. And before I moved back to Cambridge, I was in Princeton, in New Jersey. And it's a college town, like Cambridge, but Cambridge is bigger, right? Maybe 3 times bigger. Don't call me on that. It's just my observations. And so, obviously, we know the US, how they're like, right? On the startup ecosystem, we know, we don't need to repeat that. But there wasn't much. It was, okay, a lot was going on in New York City, so Manhattan, Princeton. There were activities there as well, but here, oh gosh, I was just telling my friends, and my co-founder the other day was like, hey, so much, I cannot attend everything here. There's just so much. I have to be very picky. What's the reason I'm going there for? If it's just exploratory, that's fine. If there's a specific reason. But there's a lot of trade-off decisions I have to make because obviously each minute counts for us at that early stage. And yeah, there's so much from meetups, from innovation centers like Bradfield Centers, St. John's Innovation, a lot of them. And also those small organizations that are popping up here and there. Hey, we're organizing this. Do you want to join? We need a speaker there and all that. It is very comforting and reassuring that I didn't pick a place where I would be on my own because it's very tough. Like it is very tough. Like I need to speak to founder peers, right? Because obviously now that I left the boat behind, a lot of the people I've connected with over the past 20 years, they don't understand the situation I'm in. And I want to be in that other bucket that I'm not probably quite there yet to be accepted in this new bucket or group. So all the founders, we're usually at the middle here, in a messy middle where we just find ourselves, and it's always refreshing to talk to people who understand us because we vent as well.
I think it's really interesting and wise of you to say the need for prioritizing. You could end up going to lots and lots of different networking events, but you've got to focus on which ones are going to be relevant for you. So very good advice on that. Thank you so much for your time today. What do people do if they want to talk to you or find out more information about what you're doing?
I'm always available on LinkedIn. I spend a lot of time there. It's one of our acquisition channels where we get our leads. So I can share my LinkedIn profile link on the podcast. And I think that's the best way to reach out to me.
Brilliant. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Yufei.
Today's show was produced by Joe Donaghy of Cambridge TV and supported by our media partner Business Weekly. The Cambridge Tech Podcast is available on all major podcast platforms and on cambridgetechpodcast.com. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please give it a 5-star review. It'll really help others discover the show. Technology moves fast, and now so can you. Discover Polestar, the all-electric performance brand vehicles redefining how we drive. Precision engineering, minimalist design, and software that evolves with you. Experience it at Holden Group in Norwich and Bury St Edmunds, or let us bring the test drive to your door. Proud sponsors of the Cambridge Tech Podcast. Polestar, electric performance redefined. Discover at holdengroup.co.uk/Polestar.